Hello everybody, and welcome to a new Let's Play. More or less. As you can see, my next project will be Dungeon Master. It is the dungeon crawler that defined all other dungeon crawlers. Maybe more than all the dungeon crawlers before and after that did it. It probably did not invent it, but it really codified what dungeon crawler is supposed to be. This video won't be any gameplay, it will be just me reading from the manual, but so that you don't have to listen to my voice only, I also downloaded a certain track from the SNES version, which had quite fine music, I must say. First I want to either use the, intro music or the pretty famous, as I think, Hall of Champions music, but I found something better. The track is called Choose Your Fate by Tsukasa Tawada and Hikoshi Hashimoto, and I hope you will enjoy it while I read it. So have fun, kick back, and listen to me reading. Let's do it. Chaos Unleashed. It was quiet in the dungeon of the Grey Lord. The soft flames of the torches gleamed on the fire staff, grandly displayed in its case of glass on a field of cobalt blue. The rubies and sapphires encircling the hill caught the light and threw it against the brass astrolabe and compass that Theron of Viborg held in his hands, as he copied a star chart for his master. Deep within the bowels of the dungeon, the Grey Lord's great bronze bell told the hour. Listening, Theron looked up from his task and sighed. 5 o'clock. Would the wizard never emerge from his laboratory? Fulcrum, his master's raven, flapped his wings and landed on Theron's shoulder. Aha! I have it! Aha! I have it! The raven caught in perfect imitation of the pleased tone the Grey Lord adopted whenever he solved a problem or completed an experiment. I have it! Aha! Aha! My heart is filled with joy for you, Theron muttered. Now, do you think you could fly through that thick oak door and remind our master that I'm expected in Viborg? Aha! Fulcrum cried. With a sigh, Theron returned to his chart. When the bell tolled 6, Theron put down his instruments, rubbed his eyes, and tiptoed across the stones to the door of his master's secret laboratory, holding his breath. He rapped the door. Sir, I'm ready to go, he ventured. When there was no reply, he pressed his ear against the wood and listened. The tinkle of glass, the crackling of a great fire, a puff as if of smoke. The smell of mana seeped beneath the floor and he inhaled deeply, savoring it. The Grey Lord must be engrossed in a serious experiment. He had been locked inside the vault since the high moon, 3 nights before. Master, the young apprentice called again. He heard a rumbling sigh, as if from a dragon or the soul of some harnessed and unhappy demon. And then, the Grey Lord said, I heard you the first time, Theron. Give me leave to respond, you rash pup. Forgive me, Theron murmured, drawing back as the door opened. Fulcrum caught and flew inside, and Theron seized the chance to glance into the forbidden room. But strain as he might, all he saw was a shadow. Now Theron longed to work there, learning the powerful wizard's deepest secrets. No forgiveness is needed from you at any rate. It is I who should apologize for my ill temper. The Grey Lord stepped from the gloom at the far end of the laboratory. Love and awe welled in Theron's heart for the tall figure in the grey wool robes, who had chosen him from all the village lads to serve as his apprentice and promised that in return he would teach him of the mysteries of the universe, of magic and physics, and make him one day an archmaster of all the arts. I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir, Theron went on. It's just that the hour grows late and As I said, young one, no need to apologize. I well remember the eagerness of youth, and you have sacrificed much of that vigor in my service. I do not begrudge your impatience to be off to Viborg, he smiled. Had I made as fair as your Vela waiting for me, I would be in haste to go well. The Grey Lord cocked his head, and the dreamy expression Fion knew so well stole over his features. Fion often wondered if his master were lonely, secluded in his dungeon beneath Mount Anaias, the sacred mountain of lava and crystal. It was rumored to be a resting place of the power gem, the orb that fought the ice from which dwarf and halfling, elf, man and high lord alike had risen. Well then, the wizard said, rousing himself from whatever fogs had led his mind away. You must be off to collect my henna robe. Put on your cloak! With a wave of the Grey Lord's hand, a wooden closet covered with ironwork and emeralds swung open, and Feron's magic cloak of fluid silver glittered within. It floated across the room and wrapped itself around Feron, shining in the dim light. The wizard adjusted it on Feron's shoulders. His mere touch sent crackles of mana through Feron's body, and he carefully covered Feron's head with the hood. A harmonious journey, my young friend, the Grey Lord raised his luminous hand in benediction. Feron dropped to round sea. I seek balance in all I do, my lord. The Grey Lord frowned slightly. I am your master, Feron, but not your lord. How many times must I tell you this? I would we had never taken that name on. High Lord. His voice was tinged with irony. We are no higher than you, though some of us would have you believe otherwise. We slumbered in the ice beside the other races, placed there by the same creator. Yes, sir, Feron responded dutifully, though he, like all of Vibok, knew the Grey Lord was not at all like them. It was common knowledge that the High Lords were gods, and the Grey Lord was the most powerful of them. More than once, he personally saved the people from war and division from the wizard's own kinsman, Wisdane, and no rather than retire to the upper plane with the other High Lords, or rule over the world as he had been asked, he chose to seclude himself in a dungeon of his own making, there to discover the answers to his many questions of origin and purpose, in hopes of creating a world of harmony and balance for those who dwelt upon it. Together, master and apprentice walked to the sphere of crystals which were used for short journeys from the dungeon, such as the one to Viborg. Feron stood inside it and crossed his wrist beneath the cloak. Go in harmony, Feron. I seek balance, Grey Lord. The stone walls of Feron's home began to disappear. Shadows grew beyond the gleam of the crystals, descending on the chests and shelves of books. The table where the Great Lord and Feron supped and played chess and debated ancient philosophies. On the Grey Lord be himself, whose eyes glittered as he watched Feron go. Oh, Feron thought, was his master crying? And when the wizard opened his arms in blurred, Feron, I have found it! Feron gasped. The power gem! Yes, as I always suspected, it lies within the mountain flames. The crystals blinded Feron. He knew he must close his eyes, but he strained to see. Master, this is great news. The Grey Lord's face swam before him. Yes, when next time we meet, I shall show you a dawn fairer than you can imagine. While Feron squinted inside the sphere, the case that contained the fire staff slowly opened. The wizard reached out his hands and drew forth the instrument with a mighty crack. Feron pounded against the crystals. No, master, you mean to extract the gem while I am gone? You're sending me away so you can do it alone? My lord, attend me. Don't do it. No! Feron cried out as the crystal blazed around him. He saw moons and suns and rushing stars, and the pulsing he thought would blind him. Golden, no, silver, no, white, as white hot as the soul of mortal, as the heart of a High Lord, as the eyes that had borne and sheltered the ancestors. He fell to his knees and covered his eyes. Something surrounded him, a form of mana, more powerful than anything he had ever experienced. It hit him like a blow. He sprawled within the sphere, prostrate. Safe within the center of a magic oak, it was his destination. Theron awoke with a start and sat up. Slowly he got on his feet, frowning as he did so. A strangeness tugged at his mind. Something alarming had happened in the laboratory just before his journey. Something to do with his master. He cocked his head. He could remember nothing. He didn't even recall entering the crystal sphere. Troubled, he stepped from the oak and into a shower of snow-white apple blossoms. Vela, his betrothed, jiggled as she knelt above him in the cleft of the tree, shaking a limb from her father's apple orchard so that the petals rained down to Theron. Harmony, Theron, she trilled as she dropped her branch and held out her small, soft hands to him. I've been waiting for you. Waiting. It was something about waiting, asking his masters to wait for him. To do what? Theron scratched his chin. His mind was blank. Theron? Vela shouted gaily. Aren't you going to help me down? Theron roused himself. Whatever it was come to him. Perhaps he had dreamed inside the crystal chamber. It would not be the first time. He smiled up at Vela and said, Give me leave to take off my cloak, love. You know, its touch would burn you. Hurry, I'm eager for a kiss. Theron removed the cloak and hung it on a branch, then took his beloved in his arms. She was so beautiful. She smelled of apples and roses, and her hair was soft as the pelt of a rabbit. Theron couldn't wait until the Grey Lord gave him permission to marry her. When he was an archmage, so much depended on that. Oh, Vela, he said, sighing against her. I want to tarry with you. Tarry? But I'm on an errand for my master. Vela knit her brows. But you told me the Grey Lord bade you to stay the night at my father's inn. I did? Yes. On the high moon, don't you remember? Without feeling, we returned to Theron. He absently stroked Vela's hair. How could he forget such a thing? What else had he forgotten? Truly, Theron, you can ask further. You are to stay with us. Everything has been arranged, including a safe place to put that. Vela gestured uncertainly towards his cloak. Theron knew she was afraid of it. You know, I would like nothing better than to stay with you and your father, Theron said, hiding his confusion, and his reward for his words was another kiss. Come now, my love. Vela grabbed his hands in both of hers and tugged hard. Father has prepared a feast for you, and the wise woman waits to give you the henna robe for your master. Then we can dream together beside the river. How can a man refuse such a wench? He asked, and for the first time he realized he was no longer a lad. He was a man of the world, and the Grey Lord's trusted apprentice. He was mortal of worth. He was a mortal of worth, as his dear mother would have said, a catch for any lusty girl, and he wanted no one but Vela. They feasted that night on joints and of venison, and Vela's father's best ale with his cloak and hook over his bed. Theron slept the sleep of a well-contented, smile on his face. Sorry for that. He passed the night in wonderful dreams of his wedding day, of his life with Vela. The Grey Lord has promised them a cottage on the side of a mountain, with lambs, geese, a waterfall cascading into a pond. A simple thing for him to arrange. Fearing his master would initiate Vela into her secrets, or most of them, there were some things best left to the ken of High Lords and Archmasters, and secrets that the Grey Lord alone could possess. Secrets. Theron frowned in his sleep. There was something about his leave-taking, about secrets, the penetration of mysteries. And then, his dream blurred and raged into a nightmare. He imagined himself in terrible agony, as if he had been torn into two pieces. His own cries echoed in his ears as he struggled against the searing pain that shot through his limbs, his flesh, his heart. His hair burned, his bones throbbed, and he thought that this was what dying was. This was death. He found himself standing on a hill covered with scorched brush. The trees around him were black skeletons, brown jeweled skins dangling where he once the branches dipped with red apples and juicy peaches. The sky was a sea of red, choking with smoke, and his village lay in ruins. Soldiers chased young children through the streets. A sound of wailing filled the air. He heard cracks like thunder and shut his eyes tightly. When he opened them, he hung above the earth and saw armies riding across the land. War, famine, pestilence, tragedy, and misery cut down the people wherever he looked. Horrified fear raced through his nightmare. He flew past the ruined trees and blasted earth. The heavens opened up and frozen rain pelted him. Wind struck at him and buffeted him like a feather. He gathered his cloak around his body, shouting, "No, master! Don't do it while I'm gone! Don't do it, my lord! Attend me!" He raised his arms above his head and saw through his own hands. Gasping, he realized his entire body was transparent. "I'm dreaming," he reminded himself. It was a vivid dream, to be sure. But hadn't the Grey Lord warned him that with increased power, strong visions would sometimes sound his sleep? "No," said a voice into his ear. Theron blinked and the vision was gone. He was standing on the foothills of Mount Ananias, before the doors to his master's dungeon. Theron turns around. "Who speaks to me in my nightmare?" "No dream, no nightmare." "Show yourself," Theron commanded. "Cannot." "I demand it." He raised his hands from his cloak in a gesture of magical power, then drew in his fist and recited a spell of seeing. Faintly a globe of light appeared before the doors. When abbot, Theron repeated the magic gesture. The light grew brighter. It was the sphere of crystal from the Grey Lord's laboratory. Enshrouded within it stood a figure of white, its features obscured. Theron. The figure's grasp. Theron took 3 steps backward. "Master!" "Theron," the voice said again. The light grew brighter. Theron saw the face of the Grey Lord and ran toward the sphere with outstretched arms. "Master! Master! Tell me what's happening. This must be a vision. I fell asleep a few hours ago and—" "No," said Theron's master. He was dressed in white, not his customary grey. And Theron wondered if that was why his face seemed so light. His lips pursued thin, as if in anger. His eyes were steely and flat. "Listen to me, this is real." "It is not a dream," Theron asked, aghast. "Oaths, what's going on?" "Calm yourself," Wizard snapped. "We have no time for you to give to hysteria." "Yes, sir." Theron looked down at himself. "My lord, what magic has caused us to be as ghosts?" His master spoke. "I tried to retrieve a power gem. In my foolish enthusiasm, I blurted out my plans to you while you were on your way to collect henna rope from the wise woman of Viborg." "Now I remember," Theron cried. "I couldn't before, but—" "Hush! I made you forget so that your loyalty wouldn't prompt you to insist on remaining with me. I wasn't sure I would be able to survive the capturing of a power gem." "You discovered the spell?" Theron asked. "You never told me." "I began it, but I had it wrong. When I applied the spell's energy to the gem, the universe exploded. I was blinded for a year." "A year?" Theron shouted. "I've been asleep for a year." "You haven't been asleep at all. You were torn asunder, the same as I, but because you weren't present at the explosion, you weren't thrown off the material plane as I was. You see, I exist in a limbo now. I occupy half spaces. I can't move in this world as you can. And that's why you must go into the dungeon and stop him." "Whom?" Theron blinked back tears. Had he thought of himself as a man only this morning? He was as frightened as a little child. "Chaos!" Theron. The wizard clenched his fist and raised his face towards the sky. When the explosion occurred, he split off from me. He is, I am sad to say, my evil side. That wild, uncontrollable part of me that I can scarce acknowledge. We all have one, but mine is now free to wreak his will on mankind. And he seeks to rule over you, to destroy civilization, to send every living creature back to that first age of ice we were born. Wizard pointed to the dungeon. He has taken over the dungeon and seeks the power gem. He controls the fire staff, but he hasn't learned the spell to free the power gem. Even though the clues lie hidden in my laboratory, I've recorded my thoughts in the years since the accident, and now I alone know the correct spell. What do you need me to do, Lord? Theron asked fiercely. The figures visibly jerked. First of all, you must no longer think of me as the Grey Lord. I have relinquished that name. I am to be called Librasulus, which Theron knew translated from ancient language of the high magic as Restorer of Order. Yes, Lord Librasulus, Theron said, lowering his head in a burst of fealty. I pledge you my service. Excellent. I count on the service, Theron. You must be my arms and legs, my eyes and minds. Until I possess the fire staff, I cannot enter the dungeon. Since the great catastrophe, I can only appear on this plane. In this place outside is, just as he must remain within it. We are here, he and I, and yet we are not. You must bring the fire staff to this place. Theron licked his lips. But how can I get into a dungeon? I have no substance either. Do I not occupy half spaces? Lord Librasulus nodded. That's logical, Theron. I taught you well. But there are actions you can take that I cannot. Actions you must take. If I am to stop Lord Chaos, that's what he calls himself. He is the master of my dungeon now. You must give it back to me. The dungeon! Theron squinted at the wizard as the sphere began to jitter. The fire staff, don't you see? With it, I have power to enter the dungeon and retrieve the power gem. Then, I will banish chaos, and the world will know a new age of order. But I can stay no longer. You must hear me now. In the years since the catastrophe, I have sent mortal champions into the dungeon in hopes that they could retrieve the fire staff. Unfortunately, Lord Librasulus said, they perished in the attempt. All of them? But a few hundred, a small sacrifice, when one counts the fate of millions against it. They weren't disciplined enough. They couldn't focus themselves. They fought with each other. Stopped to gather treasures, so they died. Theron's heart chilled. How bloodlessly his master spoke of these things. But how tired he seemed. How tormented he must be. Perhaps he had cut off his emotion in order to survive an unendurable weight of girls. Theron nodded. So they died, sir. Lord Chaos hung 24 of them in a place he calls the Hall of Champions. The Great Lord's gold is his trophy room. He has imprisoned them there in magic mirrors. They are frozen, suspended, dead, and yet not dead. He placed them there as warnings for those who would undertake my cause. Lord Librasulus paced back and forth within the sphere. You with advanced knowledge of the arts can enter the Hall of and awake them. I have sufficient power to aid you in this, but only for 4 souls. You may select as many as 4, but no more. They will not see you, but your influence and knowledge shall guide them through the dungeon and into the fire staff. And I must decide which of them is to possess a new lifetime, Theron asked softly. A heavy burden. You can also use the life energy to create champions more to your liking, Lord Librasulus said offhandedly. What? Theron's eyes widened. Yes, I can empower you to do that. Perhaps you shall find that another lad with your own abilities better suits the task at hand. Or perhaps you need clever helpers more than strong ones. You can fashion what you will. That sounds almost blasphemous, my lord. The wizard ignored him. You shall lead your champion as I am now leading you, as a spirit without form or substance. It is they who must move and act in the world. They who still belong to it. Go quickly, Theron, into the dungeon and rouse the world's saviors. Choose wisely, for upon them hangs destiny. But how shall I choose? Theron asked, bewildered. What dangers do I face? Lord Chaos has perverted my experiments. He has created deadly puzzles they must solve, twisting my love of logic, spitting in my face. He's created hideous monsters. I've been told by those who have escaped that some of those monsters were once mortals, whom he catched up and transformed. It is hell that I sent you to, Theon, but it is necessary. The sphere shattered into 1,000 pieces. Theon covered his face and shouted, How am I to choose? How am I to choose? What am I to do? As the crystals of the sphere plummeted into the earth, the wizard's voice echoed against the wind. Go into the dungeon and look at the champions in the walls. Look into the souls and see what they were made of. Look. Theon looks. He sent his mind past the dungeon doors, searching and seeking down the tunnels and shafts to the Hall of Champions. It was dark, and an aura of gloom rolled through it, of violence and despair, of death. On the walls stretched the catacombs. He saw mirrors, and in them frozen champions, men, women, dwarfs, elves, and creatures he had never seen before. A lizard, a dog thing. The glazed eyes stared at him as if in entreaty. Help us, free us. Theon stopped before the face of an elven woman. She was lovely as Vela, with light brown hair and a raw as strong features. A gown of white falling off her shoulders. Moved, he reached out his hands to touch her through the mirror, and then screamed anguished through her stiff temples. He was tumbling into a pit. Stones and torches and the riffing forms of 4 people crashed past him, and everything slammed into a huge pile. A wooden beam toppled across the back of an old man with a white beard. He cried out then was still. The elf landed on top of a large burly youth dressed in a loincloth. Another man braced himself for an impact by crouching to a ball that was covered with rocks and stones. Sira, the young man shouted. A broadsword cuffed his temple and sprawled forward. Theon braced himself for the impact, but he simply hovered above his seen as a helpless onlooker. A sick feeling grabbed at his stomach when he realized he was watching a scene from the past, and that these 4 were now imprisoned in the mirror crypts. He had the premonition that he was to witness their deaths, and wished with all his heart that someone else had been cursed with his terrible mission. The bearded man was dressed in the robes of a prophet. The muscular youth was obviously a barbarian. The other man was perhaps a thief of some sort. A thief. Some of the pouch on his leather belt had burst, and a handful of gems and trinkets spilled across the dirt and stone. And the beautiful elf he recognized from the Hall of Champions. What of her? An oak staff lay near her outstretched arm, bearing the crest of those who tended the oak grove where this magic tree grew, or once had grown, before the ravaging of the earth. After a time, the old man stirred beneath a wooden beam. Sira, he said, gasping. Theon swallowed his heart. Then she didn't reply. Then she moaned and opened her eyes. Nabi! She scrambled over to him and tried to pull the beam off his back. Hands were torn and bleeding. Hulk, Alex, help me! The man called Nabi inhaled sharply. The mag, I dropped it when we fell. I'm sorry, child. I fear it's lost. Oh, great, just great, the barbarian youth muttered, picking rocks off himself as he sat up. No map. Wasn't it good enough that you opened the pit? Can you sit up, Nabi? Sira asked. She began to cry when the old man shook his head. The barbarian rolled his eyes. It grows even better. We have a wounded leader, a hysterical wrench, and Alexander is out cold. He nursed an unconscious man, still alive though. Oh, Sira said softly. Is he badly hurt? She seemed torn between tending Nabi and going to Alexander. How should I know? Hulk snapped. I'm no priest. He gestured towards a prophet draped over Sira's lap. He's done, eh? Hulk, be quiet, Sira said through clenched teeth. You have the sincerity of a troll. Hulk grunted and slapped Alex's cheeks. Wake up! No gold breaking allowed. We've got to get out of here. I have to make up some more healing potions, Sira told Nabi. I'm sorry, I should have had some ready. She reached into his pouch and pulled out an empty flask. That's right, Hulk called out as he raised Alex's lids and studied his eyes. If you had been practicing your healing spells, maybe you could have improved your old man's vision. A pity we need you. Sarah closed her hand around the dagger around her at her waist. I have almost I can take off, you barbarian. The barbarian drew himself up. Listen, child of nature, I've done my part. I've practiced my skills. I'm the only journeyman in anything in this band. Nabi flashed Sarah a mournful smile. I'm sorry, I was so careless. Hulk is right. It was I who opened the pit. We didn't see the trigger, it was dark, she replied, brushing his hair away from his forehead. I'm going to check on Alex. Lie still. She rose unsteadily and made her way to Alex's side. She lost her footing in the rocks and slid partway down on the pile, catching herself by grabbing onto an open plank. Strong work, Hulk growled. Sarah glared at him. We wouldn't be in this predicament if you hadn't insisted on going after that chest. We wasted our time getting to that thing. I need armor, said Hulk. Hulk said defensively. You could have been fooled inside too. I guess everyone's alright, Alexander growled as he raised himself on his elbows and grinned at Sarah. You two are bickering as usual. Wordlessly, Sarah shook her head. A glance passed between her and the handsome man. Few realized they were in love, and his heart moved for them. Nabi, she whispered. Oh no. Alex closed his eyes tightly and groped for her hand. They sat in silence for a moment, comforting each other. Start a new map, Nabi said with great comfort. It's vital to your survival, and Hulk's right. You must be careful to explore the dungeon. Even with dead ends, you never know what you might find. Yes. Alex opened his eyes and nodded. We have found some good things. Bah! Like crowns and necklaces? Hulk threw off more stones down the side of a hill of debris. If you didn't carry all the junk around, thief, you wouldn't be too tired to fight. You had no help at all with trolling. You shouldn't have leaned against the wall, Alex retorted. You let it out. Nabi told us there are switching triggers everywhere. Hulk crossed his arms. There was nothing on that cursed wall. A fountain, just because you didn't see it. Well, I saw a pit. Hulk wiped his muddy hands on his loincloth and took a drink from a gourd on his belt. The outline was plain as sky. And speaking of day, we have somebody's god to thank for the torch over there. This place would be dark as a moonless night without us. Ours are all out. Sarah left Alex and returned to Nabi. With great love and gentleness, she touched his forehead. Well, get out, Nabi. Don't. Always talking bores me. We should start searching for a way out. Hulk got to his feet and started digging through the rubble. Loki's balls. Where's my sword? The atmosphere in the corridor changed. Kieran felt as though Suli had someone pressed a block of ice to the back of his neck. Dread fluted through him like a frigid river. He wanted to warn them, tell them to flee, but he was powerless. He could only watch the past unfold. Here it is, Hulk announced, lifting the same broadsword over his head that had knocked out Alexander. Now, if only I had some chainmail or a helmet, I would be invincible. Just a little bit of difficult to kill, Sarah said. Suddenly, a violent tremor assaulted the walls of the chamber. More stones fell from the ceiling, and Sarah hunched over Nabi to protect him as they thundered down. Two large doors appeared at the ends of the passage. They cracked open, and the space between them blazed with searing white light. By my troth, Nabi whispered. I see him. It's the Dark Lord we were warned about. You must run. The rumbling became a roar. Rhythmic thunder sent tremors through the stones, the footstep of doom, heading for them. Escape! Nabi crowed. Nabi's right, Alex said. We will need the torch. He scrambled through the rackets to the wall and tried to pull the torch out of his guns. It's stuck! I am not running. I stay and fight. Hulk bellowed, racing down the corridor towards the doors. He leaped over a grate and positioned himself in front of the doors. I fought Oitus and living skeletons in 1,000 things I had never seen before. and by the bones of Wistain, I am not through fighting yet. Get away, flee, Navi says he. I see him coming, with his white cape in the thorns. Go! See your little limbs. Theron sagged as he saw her face harden with his soul. He knew she would stay to protect the tactful old man. Perhaps I can deflect him, she said. I am after all an apprentice wizard. Squaring her shoulders, she picked up her staff and joined the others near the door. She held the staff in the direction of the door. When her dress cocked on the end of a candelabra and buried on the rocks. Mother Mantra, be my light, Siva said. Quickly she lit the candles in the flames of a torch, which Alex still forgot to pull out of his holder. Behind her, Navi screamed. She whirled around. He and a huge pile of stone were gone. In his place gleamed a pile of skulls, the remains of his intricate map wedged among them. He mocks us, Sayura said. She whirled back around and faced the door. Come then, monster, we will destroy you. No, you can't, Fune yelled through no one could hear him. Even if they could have it, it was too late. Light filled his eyes. Sorry, I had to cough. And so it was when Sion searched the souls of all the imprisoned Zambians, forced to watch the deaths of 4 and 20 valiant heroes. When at last the visions dissolved, Sion stood alone at the entrance of Master Dungeons. Now your quest begins. Oh, this is the end of the story. This no was something else, but I still read it. Now your quest begins. You must choose your champions, take up the challenge to recover fire stuff, and venture deep into the forbidding dungeon. If the guidance is true, you may restore balance to a ravaged world. If you fail, then all will succumb to chaos. Yeah. And with that ends the introduction to Dungeon Master. The next video will be, well, also some sort of introduction where I will choose my champions. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I see you in the next part, in the first real part of Dungeon Master. So, I hope you enjoyed the little story. Goodbye and have a nice day.